Hello, happy Thursday. I just gotta send a link out. Give me a second. I need somebody to run my social media so I don't have to try to do all of this and then I could just get started talking. Okay. Hello, good evening. If you're just joining, I am trying to share the link out and then I will get started. Okay. Let me go to my notes. Okay. Good evening if you just joined in. So I'm going to get started right now. So today's topic is about coming out of hiding and having the courage to be seen and to be sent. Mind you, this is not something that I thought about. If you were on my live last Friday, I asked you guys, what did you want to see? Like what kind of content did you want to see? And somebody requested that I talk about this topic, hiding as it relates to purpose. And even though I'm going to be talking about this with you guys, it hit me personally because that was a conviction for me. That's how I know that this is a divine word, but always take it back to God and make sure that the word is for you. So we'll talk about hiding. Like, what is hiding as it relates to like shrinking physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So hiding is when you're overthinking everything. You have people who struggle with overthinking. If you overthink so much to the point where you can't get nothing done, then that will cause you to stay in a hidden space because you're overthinking everything that you do. Oh, it has to be perfect. Oh, what if it doesn't look like this? Or what if I don't have the content to post? Overthinking is a symptom of hiding. Also, you never finish anything, which means you'll start the thing, but you won't finish the thing. Playing small. Playing small is a big one, especially in things that you pray for. So it's just like if you ask God for something and he gives it to you, you'll start to play small in the thing that you asked him for. That doesn't make sense. That's a symptom of hiding. Also, silencing your voice to avoid being misunderstood. This is something that I have struggled with because I know how powerful my voice is, and I'm a person who speaks truth. I'm not a liar. I don't have to manipulate people. I don't have to gaslight people. So I used to struggle with kind of not wanting to speak because I didn't want to be deemed misunderstood when God had to get me together and let me know I'm going to be misunderstood anyway because he set me apart. I'm assigned to certain people. So it's just like when I start my mentorship, I start coaching calls, it's going to be some of y'all that are going to be assigned to me spiritually. So I had to get over not wanting to speak because I didn't want to be misunderstood. Also, another thing when it comes to hiding is always saying that you don't feel ready. Like, being ready is a part of the process, but if you keep saying that, oh, I just don't feel ready, that turns into being an excuse. So, also, an example would be, you could be, let's say you're a person who has already gotten out there in whatever you do. I'll give you an example. It's like, I could still be posting and going live, but if, let's say I'm editing my voice, I don't never edit my voice in my videos. I talk regular. If I was editing my voice to be more acceptable, that's hiding. Hiding is doing anything that prevents you from being your full, authentic self. Whether that's putting filters on videos, if you speak, or if you talk, or if you sing, or if you rap. I don't know. Those are just some of the most common ones. Like the example I gave, editing your voice. You don't like the way you sound. A lot of people struggle with that. They don't like their voice, so they might put voice effects so people can't hear their real voice. That's a sign of hiding. And when we talk about hiding, we have to learn how to love ourselves. You have to love who God created you to be. If God wanted you to have a certain type of voice or to look a certain way, you would have looked like that. You would have had the thing that you're avoiding. And most of the time, the thing that you don't want to be seen doing or expressing is the gift that God naturally gave you. Does that make sense? The thing that you don't want to be seen doing or that you want to hide, that's the thing that God wants to use. Wow, I have been feeling all of that and going through so much. Need to hear this. Love your honesty and transparency. Oh, you're welcome. Trust me, it was a conviction for me because everybody needs a mentor. I'm going to say this. Everybody needs a mentor. I have a mentor, and one of our assignments last week was to get on live and ask how it pertains to our business, what the people want to see more of. So when I did that, somebody on She Believes told me to speak on this. But it was so crazy because that convicted me as well. Like, some of the things that I get up here talking about is something that I already went through or something that I have been struggling through. So the next the next point is what causes hiding. Like, what causes the fear, what causes the shame, what causes the perfection, what causes the guiltiness, or the I'm not ready yet. What usually causes that is it could go all the way back in childhood. If, let's say, like, you outspoken. If you grew up in an environment where you couldn't be yourself and you always had to dim yourself down, that could be a reason why you hide a lot. Another reason is you care about what other people think about you. This is a common thing that we as humans struggle with. You don't want to be seen doing certain things. You don't want to be seen starting. I didn't want to be seen getting up on the phone, putting the phone in front of my face and talking. I did not think that was going to be my purpose. I didn't want to be seen doing that because that's not what I used to do. I used to sell hair. I was already an entrepreneur, but naturally I always had the gift to speak life into people. Naturally, I always been wise above my years, or whatever the saying is. I've always had like wisdom that just kind of didn't make sense for my age growing up. So God wanted to use it. And so I had a fear of being seen doing something that I would have never thought, and something that challenged me. And I would say the thing that I was being fearful of, it's challenged me and it has helped me to grow. Also, another one what causes it for me is self-doubt. Yeah, self-doubt will cause you to hide because you'll be telling yourself something that's not true. And that comes from the enemy. Like, the enemy is putting things in your head and you're believing it. But that's not what God said about you. This is how you know when you're under some type of spiritual warfare or the enemy is using something against you. If it's something negative, that's not of God. Just like confusion is not of God. Chaos is not of God. Destruction is not of God. Toxicity is not of God. So if you have any type of thoughts like that in whatever, I'll talk about other topics, but for the hiding thing, if you have any of those things that I named and it's causing you to hide, just know that's the enemy trying to keep you bound. And the more that you believe the lies, the more you'll stay stuck. And when you stay stuck, you don't get to the places that God wanted you to be. That's just like if I would have never started making speaking videos and going live, a lot of people who watch my videos, who share my content, who like my content, wouldn't be getting the things they need to get. And in return, I would be sitting here suffering and being uncomfortable. So a lot of the times, being hidden is going to cause somebody else to suffer too. Because your gift is for somebody else. It's not for you. What I do is not for me. It's for you guys. What causes it for me is years of abuse and conditioned to be silent. Yeah, I said that earlier. Like sometimes it's from childhood. Like however you grew up, who was around you, they plant seeds in you. When you're a child, this is how the enemy likes to get you, because he can form your appetite when you're a child. So if you grew up in an environment where you had people who didn't speak life into you, who didn't nurture you, who wanted you to be silent, who wanted you to be still, who wanted you to be anything other than who you were supposed to be, that contributes to everything that you go through in life. If you don't figure out what happened to you and how to maneuver through it, you're always going to live a life on a level or levels less than what God calls you to be. That's why it's so important to heal, to figure out what's wrong with you and to figure out your identity. I'm going to do a whole nother topic on identity. And honestly, I don't know if that's going to be a free webinar or if that's going to be something where I take the people who want to be taken seriously, because identity is a big thing. Okay. What was I talking about? The root causes. So yeah, it's how you, like your environment, how you grew up, and not wanting anybody to say whatever they're going to say about you. One thing you're going to have to learn on this journey, people are going to talk about you regardless. Rather you doing good or rather you doing bad, they going to talk. So I would rather you let the people talk about you doing something good. Okay? So number 4, the trap of over preparation. A lot of people, like I said earlier, just overthink and you over prepare. The more you sit here and try to make something to be a certain way, the more you gonna be behind. You're gonna keep being stuck. You're gonna keep being uncomfortable. You're just gonna keep on going through whatever cycle you're going through because you keep trying to over prepare. Like you just have to jump. When God told me that I had to use my voice, I didn't feel like, I had to go get a mic. I had to go get a sign created with She Believes. I had to go get the best camera. I got up on here, no makeup on, and put my phone in front of my face and talked. I didn't over prepare for it. Eventually, it got to a certain level where I was getting uncomfortable. Like this was something God was pulling on my spirit. So I didn't prepare for it. I just did it. Sometimes sometimes all the time, like you just have to do it. Just like Nike, just do it. You have to do it. And you'll learn the hard way if you think you always got to be ready for something. I'm going to say as it pertains to doing what God has called you to do. Let me just put that on there. You're going to miss your moment. You're going to miss your spot, your mark, however you heard it, if you keep trying to over prepare for something. It's just like if God had one bus, this was the promised land bus, and it came around. Would you want to be at the stop, or you gonna be all the way in the back saying, like I'm not ready, I don't have my clothes, my fresh clothes, my hair not done? I'm giving you a metaphor of school, but I'm using it as God. If God came around one time and said, this is your one shot, are you gonna take it or are you gonna leave it? That's what you gotta start asking yourself when it comes to doing what God told you to do. If this is the only chance you get in life and it don't come back around again, are you gonna take it? Okay, so the next point will be stepping into alignment. Why movement often comes before clarity. Sometimes all you have to do is move. Then you will get the clarity, right? It goes back to being over prepared. Some people don't want to move because they don't have a clear direction or a clear something. You don't have it, so you don't want to move. Alignment is usually what shows up after you've already been obedient. You have to be obedient first. I wrote down, God didn't call you to figure it out before you move. He called you to move so he could reveal the alignment as you go. When you have a relationship with God and you seek him on a consistent basis, like you are a real God body, you'll know that God tells you stuff on a need to know basis. Not when you want to know. He gonna tell you as you go along. You're not gonna get the whole blueprint in the beginning. And if you sit around and you keep waiting for a whole blueprint, you're going to miss your spot. You're going to miss your moment. And then you're going to watch other people do things that you want to do or do things that you can do. So you always have to be careful. Like, stop trying to wait for clarity all the time. Especially if you've never started anything, your main focus would to be just starting. Then, like I said, as you start and you go along, you'll start to get more clarity on what's what and how to do it and things like that. A big one. God doesn't want you to just be seen. He wants you sent. He wants you to do the thing that he called you to do for his glory. Not for you to be seen, not for you to have likes, not for you to have 1,000 followers. It's not for anything tangible. And I think a lot of people get it confused on what it means to be sent and what it means to be seen, right? There's a difference between visibility for clout and visibility for a calling. And a lot of people don't know the difference. So some people are afraid of being seen because you don't want the attention. You're going to, let's say, if somebody in here want to start a business, you're going to have to start and get some type of attention, right? To get your product or whatever you're trying to do out, right? But you need to make sure it's not about attention and that it's about doing what you were told to do. The next key point will be, after this key point, actually, this is the last key point. Let me see. Okay, yeah. So living out loud, what is it like to stop hiding and start walking in purpose? So examples would be just posting your content with no edits on it. Like just getting up, and then let's say if you go live or you do things like that, you're just you just your authentic self. I don't have on any makeup. The lives that I had makeup on in some of them I didn't. I don't feel like I have to get up here and get dressed and be all jazzed up. Because I feel like if I was to have done that, then that would be something that people will be expecting of me. Like, oh, she always got her makeup done every time she get on live. Oh, well, this time she don't. That's an example of living out loud. Sometimes you might get me with a bun in my hair. You might get me with my hair down. You feel me? I'm just going to be myself. That's an example of living out loud, being yourself at all times. I vouch for being authentic because I can't be nothing other than that. And I don't really care for people who are not authentic. I do not like performative people. I don't. Being performative gets you results, but they don't last that long. Another example would be to introduce yourself. Whatever you do, let's say you got to meet somebody, it's an interview or I don't know. Introduce yourself with authority. Like, have confidence. That's an example of living out loud, because even being in interviews, a lot of people be so nervous, you dim yourself down. You come up in an interview already timid and scared. And if I'm interviewing you, I can see that. I can read your body language. And it's just like, that tells me that you live in fear for some reason. So anytime you walk up into a room, introduce yourself with authority. Y'all could just tell by the way that I talk that I'm very authoritative. So that would be an example for you guys. Introduce yourself with authority. The next one, share your story even though it's messy. In the mentorship that I'm in, a lot of people say that they don't have content to post. And sometimes I feel like that too. I don't have content to post. But people are not, I ain't gonna say buying, but we'll talk about buying. People don't buy into the product itself. You buy into the person that's selling the product. So 9 times out of 10, you're buying into the person, right? So when I start to keep sharing my story, that's going to make more people gravitate towards me because I'm showing you the whole story and it's messy. I'm not waiting until I get the $1 million house to show y'all. I'm showing y'all now, right? So always keep that in mind. Always share your story even when it's messy. You ain't gotta have the flies card. You don't have to wear designer. You don't always have to keep your nail and hair done. Share your story. Be yourself. I don't know how else to say that. Be yourself, please. Being yourself gonna take you further than it is to be something that you're not. The thing that you've been sitting on for months, bring it back to life. Put it back out there in the spotlight. That's an example of living out loud. Stop trying to tiptoe into everything. Whether that's in a relationship, whether that's in a job, your purpose. Stop trying to tiptoe and be loud about what God called you to do and who he called you to be. Okay? So, I want some of y'all to I don't know if you're taking notes or not, but you need to start telling yourself that you're going to no longer live in fear. That you're not going to be scared and that you're not going to be afraid. Because the more you live in fear, like I said, and the more you're afraid, the enemy knows that, and that's why he keeps you in bondage. Hiding is a form of bondage. Write it down. If you don't know what bondage is, I'm going to make a whole live on that too. Hiding is a form of bondage. Just listen to what bondage sounds like. It means you in chains. In the spiritual realm, you in chains. You're a prisoner. You're a prisoner to your own life because you're hiding. God didn't call us to be prisoners. He called us to be free. So start declaring that you're not going to be hiding. You're not going to be fearful. You're not going to be shrinking. You're not going to be dimming yourself down. You're not going to be trying to be liked. That's another one why a lot of people hide, because you want to be liked by everybody. There is no such thing as being liked by everybody. And if you are a person and everybody, it's a difference between people gravitating towards you because you're authentic versus everybody just liking you because they can get what they want from you, or because you are very performative, or because you just anything other than yourself. It's two different things. So understand that in order to come out of hiding, you're going to have to get comfortable with the idea of not being liked. That's something that I literally carry on my shoulders. I was not put here to be liked. I was put here to be liked. L-I-G-H-T, right? I don't care if people don't like me. I don't care. That don't do nothing for me. I don't care. So when it comes to be hiding, please understand you're not going to be liked. Everybody in the world don't like you. And if you want everybody in the world to like you, you suffer from insecurity, right? Insecurity is going to keep you bound. You can't please everybody. Stop trying to be a people pleaser. A people pleaser is going to keep you in bondage. We all done been a people pleaser to somebody in our lives before. But I'm telling you today, when it comes to hiding, because you can hide yourself when you're dealing with folks, stop trying to be a people pleaser and be yourself. Because when you be yourself, you attract the right people and you repel the wrong people. That's why I don't care about being liked, because I attract who is naturally for me and I repel who's not for me. A lot of people like my intensity. They like who I am. They like how confident I am. But when they get around me, it makes them uncomfortable. That lets me know I'm being myself. I'm doing the right thing. So Take that with you. Start telling yourself you enough. I just want to ask y'all something. If you don't think you're enough, why would you expect somebody else to think that? Just a question. Just think about it. Tell yourself that you're enough to be seen. Tell yourself that you're bold enough to be sent. Tell yourself that you don't need permission because you have purpose. Tell yourself these things. I don't care if you have to wake up every single day and look when you're getting ready to say it in the mirror. Start verbalizing the stuff out loud, especially if you struggle with loving yourself and you struggle with self-doubt. Start telling yourself the opposite of what you're believing. Because if you don't feed yourself good things, you're going to continue to rot in the bad. I don't care how simple it sounds. Start telling yourself the things, right? The last thing I do before I get off live, I always give journal prompts and questions. Because you should be taking notes anyway. Because these lives, they delete after 30 days. But I'm going to just start uploading them on YouTube. That way, whoever needs access to it can have it. So, some journal questions I wrote down. A question that you could ask yourself. And I feel like people really should ask themselves questions. Because when you ask yourself the hard questions, it better helps you get an understanding of yourself and what you may be struggling with. And what you allow, what you accept, what you tolerate, how you think. Okay? So, the first question would be, where in my life have I been hiding my full self? Where in my life have I been hiding my full self? The next one would be, like I was just talking about earlier, what lie are you believing that's keeping you small? What lie are you believing that's keeping you hidden? What lie are you believing that's keeping you from being your authentic self? Write that question down. Write it down in your notes if you're on your phone or if you got an iPad. Write it down. Number 3, what would it look like to move first and trust alignment to follow? What would it look like if you just did the one thing that you're scared to do? What would it look like? Number 4, in what ways are you letting shame or fear delay your visibility? Number 5, this is the last question. What is one thing you are going to do this week to come out of hiding? What is one thing you're going to do to come out of hiding? Whether it relates to your purpose, you trying to start a business, you trying to just start being confident in yourself, you playing small around people, maybe in a relationship. What is one thing you're going to do this week to come out of hiding? So those are all my questions. Trying to make sure I talked about all the key points about coming out of hiding. Does anybody have any questions? Don't nobody. Let me see if I got all the questions. Yeah. So hiding is normal, especially when it comes to trying to put yourself out there. That's normal. But I just want to let you guys know that that can't be used as an excuse. Because when I start mentorship and I start coaching calls, a lot of people are going to get convicted from talking to me because I am not going to hold your hand in a way where I'm going to let you play small. That's not what God put me here to do. So you definitely, if you get under my mentorship when I started my coaching calls, I am definitely going to help you see yourself in a way that you would have never thought possible. Because there's no way I would have mentees playing small and hiding and shrinking and just being everything but who they supposed to be. That would mean that you wouldn't be aligned to me. Cause I can't do nothing with performative people. I don't have a lot of people around me, like close friends and stuff like that, because I don't do well with performative people. I don't do well with people who suffer from extreme insecurity to the point where they look at me envious. I don't do well with those kind of people. But I can meet you where you are if you're willing to grow. Anything else I cannot help you with. So it's up to you guys. And the more you get comfortable with doing something that you're scared to do, the easier it becomes. Then you'll be able to pass it down to the next person. And some people like it better when you do hide. I'm trying to tell you that now because I experienced that. People like it better when I don't talk because they know the truth will come out of my mouth. People like me better when I'm not bold, when I dim myself down. People would like me better if I wasn't as confident as I was. People would like me better like that. God didn't put me here to be anything less than what he has called me to be. So I'm bold. I'm going to always be bold. That triggers a lot of people because people are fighting demons that don't have nothing to do with me. Once you understand that a lot of the stuff that you fighting don't have nothing to do with you, you're going to be able to break free. And you're going to be able to do the thing that you need to do that's causing you to not be seen. So if don't nobody have any questions, I'm about to get off live. My lives are usually not that long. I started at 8 o'clock. It's 8:33 over here. Does anybody have any questions? Is there any topic that you want me to talk about next week? If you do, please drop it in the comments before I get off live. There's people out there talking. But I don't see any questions in the comment box. So since nobody has any questions or anything to say, I am going to get off of here. I will see you guys next week at the same time. And another thing before I go, always make sure you in the room because you don't know what God wants you to hear. And I was always told to put myself in the rooms to get to the places that I desire to be. Because nobody, I hate to be the one to say it, nobody is coming to save you. Even you have to meet God somewhere. You have to meet him halfway. So always make sure you in the room. Because you don't know what you're going to get from the word that God gives me to speak or anything that I may talk about. You don't never know what you're going to get from it and what it's going to do to you. And what is going to open up and trigger inside of you for you to become the best version of yourself. To be a believer. It's called She Believes for a reason. Right? So, just make sure next week you in the room. All right? Talk to you guys later. Bye.